journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. We don't want to take the first step because it seems like 1,000 miles, I'm never going to get there, but you just have to start. You just have to take the first step. Start now. Hello friends, John Dalton here for the Emergence podcast, where we go into love, consciousness and the mystery, coming to you this week from a very festive Kenmare. And in this episode we're going into visual arts and the distraction of vision, breaking the chain of hurt, great things coming, being fiercely kind, acknowledging how brilliant and amazing you are, and the power of starting. I had a question come in on the Further Emergence Discord, and it says, "Hi John, if vision is the most distracting sense for humans to be present and conscious, why do you think you're into visual arts and painting?" So what they're talking about there is in the meditation training and in the space for the mystery, I regularly refer to how distracting vision is, and it is distracting. It's like when you think of meditation, the image that you think of is not someone with their eyes open. It's always like with their eyes closed. Okay, and the reason we close our eyes is because vision is so distracting. And towards the end of meditation, when we're coming out of it, I use that to kind of help and to draw attention to how much you can, depending on where you are in your meditation journey, but can be a feeling of like descent and going somewhere, and you get somewhere, and then when you open your eyes, there's this feeling of being pulled away from that place that you are. And that's a very graphic and easy to feel demonstration of how distracting vision is. So all the senses are distracting in their own way, but of them all, I think vision is probably the most distracting, because it's the one that really makes this whole illusion that we're in feel three-dimensional, feel like it's out there. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be interesting. It'd be like going to a movie and kind of going, oh, it's, there's something wrong with the fact that it draws you in. There's something bad about the way it entertains you. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm here to be entertained. Similarly, like where we are now in existence, it's supposed to be compelling and engaging, and it's supposed to be so engaging and compelling that we forget, okay? Which is all fine unless it becomes a problem. And then meditation is helpful to remember that it's an illusion. So in a weird way, my interest in visual arts and why I paint and why I have a podcast and I interviewed so many artists is probably because I know that it's an illusion. I don't take it for granted. It kind of reminds me of when you meet someone for the first time and you fall in love with them, but you're not with them all the time. And whenever you're not with them, you're sort of, every little bit of them is so interesting to you. The curve of their neck, the shape of their body, their smile, their eyes, the way they laugh, all these details you're so into them, And then 10 years later, you don't even see them anymore. You don't, not in the same way. It's so easy for that to happen. We get, unconsciousness it's a bit like moss, it just grows on you and it's very hard to see, And one of the things about artists, particularly artists who are representational, meaning they're trying to make a representation of what they're seeing, they have to look and they have to see in a way that you don't normally see. Like when, we talk about the wonder of a child, that's because they're seeing everything for the first time, just like you do when you meet somebody for the first time. When you're an artist, you have to remember how to see. So you have to see things. And I don't know if I lost that. I mean, I did a bit, but not that much. I've always been really, I have that kind of wonder when I see things. So I'm very visually sensitive. Like I, I'm the sort of person who wants to straighten pictures. Not because I think it should be a certain way, but it's like disturbing to me visually. I like certain things to be symmetrical or asymmetrical, depends on whatever. But why I'm so interested, or why I like art and visual art, is because I don't take it for granted, and it makes and it's also a little window into how another person sees the world. I don't get to look out of anyone else's eyes, but with art, I can get a little glimpse of what maybe it's like for them as they look out of their eyes. So, like, there's a thing in art called the male gaze. It's not just painting. It's across everything, and it's this idea that a lot of the media and art that we consume, it's all from the perspective of what men like to look at. Something I didn't know about at all until I did. And then as soon as I heard about it, I kind of went, oh my God, yes, I've been, all these beautiful images of women draped on beds, semi-naked or naked, are very pleasing to me, of course. And then I never really thought about why there's so many of them. And why that's kind of normal, like if I came across a woman draped, a naked woman on a couch in a supermarket or in a department store, it would be pretty shocking. Like I can remember talking to an artist years ago, and he was saying, I rarely see my wife naked like that, so why would I paint somebody else like that, like it's normal? It's not normal. It's a very unusual, intimate, personal thing. And the reason why it's so common is male gaze. So for me, it's been fascinating talking to women artists and looking at the art that women make to get a little glimpse into a different perspective. Now that's just the male gaze and the way women. I don't know if there's a female gaze. I suppose there is. It's their perspective on things, but it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. Like really good art gives you a little glimpse into what's going on for the person and how they're seeing things. And in a way, you can kind of see through their eyes. So I think the reason I am particularly drawn to representational art, figurative art, is mostly to do with people. I was never particularly drawn to landscape because I like landscape photography, I think. And I like nice landscapes, but I'm very interested in people. So I'm just naturally drawn to people. But just the visual side of it, I think, is my own just appreciation of all my senses. All the smells of things, the tastes of things. Like it's great to stick your nose into lots of different things. I don't mean to be, I mean that literally. I mean smell things, There's a thing that, as you get older, your smell goes. And I often think that's probably because people are not using it that much, That's that thing of you use it or lose it. So it's beautiful to smell, to really appreciate the smell of things that you like the smell of, but even things that you don't like the smell of. Like, I live in the country, and there's certain times of year when there's very strong smells in the air, and it's not to shy away from them, it's to just embrace them. And it's the same with visuals, same with taste, touch. It's lovely to run your hand over things. Like, if you watched me in a shop, particularly a clothes shop, or where there's fabrics, I'm sort of touching everything. I'm running my hands over everything. I just like the feel of everything because I just appreciate my senses. I really appreciate this illusion and all the three-dimensionality of it and all these different things that you can experience here. And I think I do that is because I know it's an illusion. I know it's not real, but it just feels great, and it's great. There's so much fantastic sensory information to be had there. I just know it's not real, though. I don't take it that seriously. but I really enjoy it. I enjoy it very much because it'd be like going to paying money to go and see a movie and then kind of going, yeah, it's not real. It's kind of it's just shadows on the wall. So well, what'd you come for? What'd you come for if you're not going to enjoy it? If you're not going to kind of go, wow, that's so amazing. Look at that. I really feel like I'm there. And what's going to happen next? And so on. So that's why I like visual arts. If you want to write to me, it's john@furtheremergence.com. I love hearing from you with what's going on for you, how it's all going, or if you have questions or if you want my particular perspective on things. Yeah, drop me a line. You can DM me on Instagram as well, or send me an email. Farm news, it's this poll here. That's the big news. Because on that pole, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little cable, and that is a fiber optic cable. So the big farm news is finally the fiber broadband has been connected via that little cable, and you can see it going on up the lane there. And I find it a very graphic demonstration of how nuts and bolts the whole internet thing is. It's just that cable. If a tree falls on that cable, that's the end of the fiber broadband, or has to be fixed. It's not some abstract cloud in the sky. It's a little cable that a lot of people had to go to a lot of trouble to run to my little house here. So that's the big farm news. This pole that they had to put in, which joined up with all the other poles on the lane, and then that cable, which was finally connected yesterday. All right, let's have a look at some of the memes on the Further Emergence Instagram feed. This is a quote from Yehuda Berg. Hurt people hurt people. That's how pain patterns get passed on, generation after generation after generation. Break the chain today. Meet anger with sympathy, contempt with compassion, cruelty with kindness. Greet grimaces with smiles, forgive and forget about finding fault. Love is the weapon of the future. I don't know if it's the weapon of the future, but it's certainly the thing of the future. It's always been. Love has always been. Love's always the answer. It's such a cliche, it's so hippie, it's so corny, and it's so true. Love's the answer to everything. But you have to get to know love. It's not what we're told. It's a lot more impersonal, and it's a lot more powerful, and it's a lot more disruptive. But it gets it done. If you can use love as your North Star, it'll get you through everything. A lot of terrible things going on in the world, but there's always been a lot of terrible things going on in the world. We just know about them more. And the reason we know about them more is because love is showing us. Love is showing us, it's bringing us up. We can't turn away anymore. We can't get distracted anymore. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. We can't not hear the call. We can't not hear love saying, come on, more. Come into me more. Find the way. It's not easy. I know it's not easy. But what else are we going to do? What else are you going to do with your life except surrender to love, except give yourself to love and stop passing it forward? We've tried it all. We've tried meeting violence with violence. We've tried meeting hate with hate. We've tried meeting anger with anger. We know it doesn't work. You know it doesn't work. And then you're kind of like, well, what? Love seems so wet. It seems so passive. It seems so ineffective in comparison. At least if I'm fighting, at least I feel like I'm doing something. That's the challenge. It's like, well, have a go at fighting. Look back in our history. Look back in your own history. How did that fight go with the person that you love? Did it work? Did you win? You might have won the fight, but did you win in the end? Or did it erode the love? So you have to look inside and see yourself. And if you have to fight a bit more till you till it's not there anymore. Till you come to love and you come to it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You know it doesn't work. We all know it doesn't work. But it requires
such stillness, to sit in love, that it's just easier to fight. It's just easier to argue. It's just easier to do all that stuff. It feels like it is, but it's not effective. It doesn't change things. It just stays down here. Whereas love is way up here, and that's where we want to be. That's because that's what we're made of. That's where we're from.
The next one is old energy is clearing, new energy is entering, great things are coming. That could be hard to see because it's very easy to get distracted by the appearance of things. And the appearance of things can be chaos and carnage and a lot of disruption, and can be very disturbing, and you can be like, what's it all about? Why are things so awful? Why are things so terrible? And it's very easy to get distracted by that and to kind of see this thing of like great things are coming. Like, it doesn't look like great things are coming. It looks like terrible things are coming. Like, what are you talking about? But if you think of it in terms of a healing crisis or a release, like often when things are releasing, like, physical things, there can be a build up, then there can be shaking, maybe a bit of crying, a lot of emotions as something is releasing. I've gone through this many times, and it's always uncomfortable. The process is always uncomfortable, both to have it happen and to support it to happen, to be around it. But it's always so much better when it's happened, it's like that cliche, better out than in kind of thing, So that's a way of looking at what's happening now. And you can look back in history and see how, a similar process happened. Each time we go forward in consciousness, each time there's a new bit of growth, there is all this disturbance, there is all this chaos and disruption. But this thing of old energies leaving, new energies coming in, great things are coming. It's very helpful to see it like that. The next one says, keep my anger from becoming meanness, keep my sorrow from collapsing into self-pity, keep my heart soft enough to keep breaking, keep my anger turned towards justice, not cruelty. Remind me that all of this, every bit of it, is for love. Keep me fiercely kind.
Keep me fiercely kind. It's probably the most courageous thing we can do right now, is to be kind. It seems like such a small thing to do, to be kind, and yet it's huge. Like, if you think of all the problems, or what I call problems in the world, if you think about them and what can be done, they'd all be solved with kindness. If everybody was just kind to each other, it would take care of a lot of things. But that's other people. I'm only talking to you and me. And we can be kind now. And just even being kind when you feel like not being kind, it's a big deal. It makes a big difference to kind of go, yes, I've been wronged. Yes, I'm very justified in my anger, and I want to get my revenge, and I want to win the conversation. I want to do all that stuff. But is that a true reflection of who I am on the inside? Is that really who I am? I mean, I can be like that, but is it really who I am in my heart? And you'll find that you're not. And to kind of go, okay, I don't care. I'm not doing this for the other people. I'm not being kind for other people. I'm being kind because it's who I am. It's who I am on the inside. And I'm going to express that. I'm going to take the risk of just being who I am. Even though probably won't be understood, people will try and take advantage of me. There's nothing on paper. It's probably not the thing to do, but it is the thing to do, Because if it doesn't start with you and me, who is it going to start with? If we don't start being kind when we don't feel like it, or when we want to react, when we want to do all those things. If we don't start doing it, well, who is going to do it? You think the people who are like very, very covered in hatred and very covered in anger and bigotry and all that other stuff, the only way we can help them to do that is to start doing it ourselves with the difficult things in our own lives, the hard things. It's not easy to be kind. I mean, sometimes it is, but a lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times it requires speed to get ahead of your reaction. And then it requires, kind of gritting your teeth and going, I could so destroy this person right now. I could, they've made a big error. I could totally win this argument, win this conversation, win this situation. But is it the kind thing to do? And meaning, is it the true expression of my heart on the inside? And you'll find it's not. Yeah, it's nice to sort of win temporarily, but ultimately it leaves you with a sick feeling in your stomach. So, being fiercely kind, I like the way they put that idea of being fiercely kind, aggressively kind. Fiercely kind is beautiful.
The next one says, "The only thing that keeps me going is how brilliant and amazing I am." It sounds like an arrogant thing to say, but we don't give ourselves enough credit for that we get through things, that we survive, that we thrive. We just focus on regrets and how we could have done it better and all the terrible things that we did and how we failed and how we were unconscious. But the only thing that keeps me going is how brilliant and awesome I am. It's true, but it's very hard to admit it. Very hard to claim it and go, yeah, I'm pretty brilliant and awesome, without feeling like I'm just being arrogant or being up myself, as they say in Australia. It's very hard to just give yourself that, to kind of go, yeah, you know what, I did pretty good. I did okay. It was difficult. It was a difficult situation. It was hard. I screwed up, like, no question. But I got through. I didn't get through with the grace and dignity and style that I would have liked to, but I got through. And that's the thing to claim. Because if you want your life to get better, you have to claim every bit of the good that you want to have more of. If you just focus on how you screwed up, you're going to screw up more. If you focus on your unconsciousness will take a lot longer to turn into consciousness. Whereas if you focus on what you did that was good and how your consciousness came through, you'll get more of that. So it may sound arrogant to kind of go, I'm awesome and brilliant. And, we've all met people who truly believe that and, they are not aware of their unconsciousness at all. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you and me. And we have the opposite thing of where we want to push that away, that knowledge that we are brilliant and we are awesome. And it doesn't matter how many people say it to us on the outside. The really important one is you. When you can say that to yourself, and it's true, and it's true, and then it's quiet. It's just quietly to yourself. Yeah, the fact that I got through that, the fact that what keeps me going, the thing that keeps me going is awesome. The thing that keeps me going is brilliant. So that kind of means I'm pretty brilliant and awesome. It's all right, I won't tell anyone. And then the last one says, start now. Start where you are. Start with fear. Start with pain. Start with doubt. Start with hands shaking. Start with voice trembling. But start. Start and don't stop. Start where you are with what you have. Just start.
It always feels like if I could just get a few more ducks in a row, then I'll start. Then it'll be a good time to start. But you know what? It's never, the ducks never get in a row. It's never, there's never the right time. It never feels like a great time to start. It always feels like I'm unprepared. I'm not as together as I want to be. I don't have this thing. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not connected enough. And and it never comes. That time never comes. And in my experience, most beginnings that I have started have always been very ropey. They've always been very, like, they didn't seem like much. There was a lot of stumbling around, a lot of missteps, a lot of mistakes. And I'm kind of used to that now. I never really look at the beginning, meaning I never really look at what the product is, or, meaning the product of my beginning. Whether that's a new kind of exercise, a new art project, a new thing I want to bring into my life, like I want to start getting up earlier in the morning, or I want to start getting up later in the morning, or I want to start going to bed earlier. The first couple of times I failed pretty badly, usually. But I kind of know that the thing is not so much what it looks like, but the fact that I started. Starting, that's the thing, and that's the thing we have the big problem with. And that's why I think it was Lao Tzu all those years ago was saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And he was right on with that, because we don't want to take the first step because it seems like 1,000 miles, I'm never going to get there, but you just have to start. You just have to take the first step. Start now. Okay, that's all I have for you this time. I trust you're well. I trust you're of good cheer. I wish you all the best for the festive season. Till the next time, bye.